I meant to film the turning of the boat, but I had the camera set up outside, and when the neighbor showed up, we had to close the door in order to get the height in order to flip the boat. So we got it flipped, but we had to close the door, so my camera set up outside didn't work, and I didn't want to bother my neighbors to get it reset on the inside. Anyway, boat is upside down, ready for smoothing all of these edges so that the fiberglass will conform to the edge, because this is way too sharp, and then these ones right here are way too sharp. The fiberglass can't conform, so you have to round over this bit and put a fillet right here. And then once that's done and this is rounded over here, then I can start the epoxy process. And the fiberglass, which is, you can kind of see laying right over there on top of that cart. But that is a project for another day. Okay, I've got two stills of the boat upside down in the garage so you can take a look at it, kind of how it fits in the garage. It's about the max length that I can fit in there and still get the door closed and walk around behind it. I got a new tool which you can see on top of the boat there, which is a DeWalt cordless sander. And I started sanding with 80 grit paper, but soon realized that there's probably about 70 feet of curve that I need to make here, over these corners. And went in and grabbed my planes, a number 5 standard, to take off the majority of the wood so that I can get a nice fair curve. Just lay it over, and then back to some sand. really like this Stanley #5 plane. My father gave it to me, and it was really sharp and took us off really well. Between the planes and the sander, got everything curved and fared in. Okay, just mixed up some thickened epoxy, and we're under the boat at this point, and we're going to put some fillets up here in the bow. So, got my fiberglass all cut, and got my Ziploc bag. We're just gonna go through the whole boat here. Underneath, it's probably about 20 feet of thickened epoxy. What we need to do. See if we can get you set up over here. I just sped this up for your convenience. You'll see me duck underneath into the aft section in a second. You'll see me through those cutouts getting all of the fillets done in the aft section. There's quite a bit more in the aft section. And in the heat of this day, I was just soaking in sweat underneath this boat getting this done. Alright, so here's where I grab all of the fiberglass tape and embed it into that still wet thickened epoxy fillet that's in the corner. And that fillet allows the epoxy or the fiberglass to curve between the two surfaces of the plywood. And after this, we'll mix up some unthickened epoxy and wet out the rest of the fiberglass tape that's not sitting in thickened epoxy. And here's where I'm spreading a little bit of thickened epoxy on the seat stiffener that goes in front of bulkhead 2. You can see me placing it in here right now. And then I've got 5 C-clamps to clamp it in place and make sure that it is straight, because there's a little bit of curve to the seat, and if you get 5 clamps on there, it stays straight. Here we got a lot of mixing action for some unthickened epoxy. Do a little bit of stirring, getting it well blended between the hardener and the resin. And once that looks like it's mixed pretty well, just grab a little 1.5 inch chip brush and wet out this fiberglass tape so that the white that you can see up there above the C-clamps, that all kind of disappears when there's enough epoxy saturated into the fiberglass and against the wood. all wetted out. This is the bow section. That's station 1. And then over here is station 2. We crawl underneath into the air section. We get this to bring out. We get the full air section. All of these joints have been fiberglassed. Fiberglass tape and thickened epoxy influence. Started on the outside. Alright, I did a little bit to get these. There were small joints, maybe a millimeter, up to 2, that I filled. And then where the bulkheads go through the floor, I filled those holes. There's just 6 holes. And then at this puzzle joint here, I just put a little bit more thickened epoxy because it wasn't the best joint. So we'll sand that down, and when it gets covered with fiberglass, you won't see that it's been there. Most of the joints were pretty good. A couple of small things. And then on the transom, a little bit of thickened epoxy to make that transition. And that'll be it for today.